Hi, welcome to Catching Serendipity. Today we have with us Emma, and Emma's going to tell us about herself and who she is and how she came to be an activist. And take it away, Emma. Tell us about yourself.
Okay. Hello. My name's Emma, and I grew up in a tiny town called Cornville, Arizona. It's actually a census-designated area, technically, because it's not even large enough to be considered a town. There's like 3,000 people there. When I think about what made me an activist, and there are many moments in my life that have kind of caused that shift. But I think that one thing that really changed the way that I looked at systems and fairness was when a friend of mine in high school was deported. He was raised in Arizona. He didn't speak very much Spanish at all, actually. And his family came from Mexico, and he happened to be born in Mexico right before his parents moved to the United States. And so they had built a whole life in Sedona and were some of like the kindest families. We ran together, and my best friend had the biggest crush on him, and so I knew a lot of weird facts about him because of that. And then he went to Mexico to visit family one time, and he wasn't allowed to come back. They came and somehow he was deported. And
Wow.
he had to live with distant relatives in Mexico, and he had to learn Spanish, and the whole community was aware of it, and everybody rallied together to we were like, okay, we can support this family, we can make this change. And it didn't work. They didn't listen. Nobody cared. And that was the first time I ever heard someone call another human being illegal. And that made me question everything. I was like, okay, well, if a human being can be illegal, then I'm illegal too. Who cares about the law? And that was probably one of the first radicalizing moments of my life.
That's interesting that you saw something like that. I met somebody from Guatemala, and she was a guerrilla back in the day, and she said she had two friends that were part of the disappeared. And meeting her and now meeting you and talking to you, that brings it right home. I mean, it was your friend, but I'm your friend, and so he's my cousin.
Yeah.
My cousin got deported, and so
Exactly.
it really causes the mind to think, doesn't it?
Yeah. And love destroys every single one of these artificial barriers that systems try to create, right? So like that sentence right there just destroyed all of them.
Yeah.
It's so easy. They're like, the foundation of them is so fragile that the systems are built with all of these locks and keys and walls and stuff for a reason, because they're actually fragile on the interior. But the connections between people are so much stronger. And that also makes me an activist.
In what way do you think?
In the sense that I truly believe that love can conquer all. And I use the word conquer intentionally in this case to try to reappropriate it. But love can take down these systems of, it may take a long time, and it may just be a tiny act of defiance. And then many tiny acts of defiance that compile. Sometimes I swear I can feel my ancestors like pushing me, like, no, I'm sorry, we put up with these microaggressions our whole life. You don't, no, you're not going to. And I'm almost speaking for them rather than me. And yeah, I believe in that power.
So you believe that there's a representation that you possess of the people in your past?
Yeah, I think that the narratives of our past, they affect us whether we want to acknowledge them or not. And so acknowledging the inherited narratives that we have that we don't agree with and choosing to move past them, that's one thing. And then also acknowledging the suffering that those before us have gone through for us to be here doing what we're doing now. And imagining my grandmother saying, no, I did not do everything that I did for you to sit here and take this right now.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I can almost feel it sometimes, whether it's actually happening or not, whether she's actually looking at me or not. I can feel that sort of, and it helps me. It compels me to move sometimes.
I think I agree with that, because I feel like if I don't commit to activism of some sort, in whatever, picking up litter is a simple act.
Yeah.
Or opening a door for someone. If I don't do that, first off, it makes me feel good that I do that. But if I don't do that, there's part of me that's like, I didn't do that. It's very shameful to feel like I didn't participate to the solution.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Absolutely, and I think that everyone does to some extent, which is why kids love being given the chance to do something nice for somebody, and adults love that too. I feel that capitalism and like the individualistic nature of the U.S., like the culture, the American culture that we're a part of, there's a lot of emphasis on individuality and doing things for yourself, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, like being a self-made person. But no one's a self-made person. Communities make people. It's ridiculous. So when people say, I work for every penny I have and I'm a self-made man, I'm like, great for you, but you're not. Your mother, who did all of this unpaid labor, she made you. Your aunties, who maybe put you in line every once in a while when you're saying stupid stuff, they helped to make you. The trials and tribulations of life, they make you. And these teachers and all of these amazing people that we have. No one's a self-made person, and then no one who is really suffering and making bad decisions is in that alone either.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going on what they know.
Yeah.
Instead of, it seems, instead of finding out what they could find out about whatever subject they're involved in.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about what can be,
Yeah.
as opposed to what is. So that change, do you feel like you want to make a change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that change is inevitable no matter what we do.
Sure.
Like, one of my favorite authors, Howard Zinn, he wrote this book called You Can't Be Neutral in a Moving Train. And I think about that all the time. Just that title alone is transformative. Because change is going to happen. You're going to be a part of it. But if you consciously choose to be a part of that change and shape that change and change your shape in the process, then you can be an active participant in the changing and shaping of this world and future worlds and other people's worlds.
In what way do you think specifically is important to you?
For the change that I want to be a part of. I think that, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I mean, there's so many different ways to make change. But for me, I think that like the little superpower that I hold is through love, like a really intense amount of love, because I truly love everybody. It's intense. I can help people to realize the power that they have within themselves. Because when I talk to people, I really genuinely care what they have to say. And sometimes just having someone listen, like I want everyone I meet to realize that they're an activist and to find the activist within themselves. And I think that whatever comes of that, like there's going to be a beautiful amount of change, and I want to be shaped. I want to allow myself to be shaped by the interactions that I have with other people, and consciously shaped.
And I also want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
The part of me that likes the parade, I want to be in the parade.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be a part of the change that's happening.
Yeah. And I mean, in my daily life, I want that change to be representative in the relationships that I have, which is why I don't believe that monogamy is something that works for me. Like I want to be able to love all people, whatever that looks like. It's just this idea that there's space for so much love and so many different kinds of intricate and different relationships. And I mean, I love my job, I love my community, and having that opportunity is such an important way to be able to make that change. and to love the people I love. I mean, I'm queer as well, so just loving women is an act of rebellion. That is a political act in itself.
Right.
Loving my partner who's Black, that is a political act that would have gotten us both in serious trouble not too long ago. And we still risk our lives going out together. I drive my car differently when he's in the car. And just being aware of the implications of that. Like, our love can transcend it, but we're still living in a society that doesn't accept that. So we can shape change by truly loving each other and in front of everybody and having people experience that love and see how beautiful, like, you can't deny it. You can try, but.
Exactly. And that is in itself an act of defiance just by being in that relationship, because it's not, if you will, the norm that people think is supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be. A lot of things are done because that's the way it's always been.
Yeah.
So breaking that stereotype is really important to you, I guess.
It is, and it wasn't something that, I wasn't consciously going out like, I'm going to date people specifically that are going against the norm, but being in those relationships and acknowledging what they mean to other people and being like, all right, let's have some fun with this. It's a fun opportunity to try to just be like, yeah, let's talk about why you're uncomfortable right now. Is it because, and it really, being together, I get to see parts of people that I wouldn't see otherwise. Because racism is so deeply entrenched.
It is.
And yeah, my own anti-racist work it's been a long time in the making, and it's going to be the rest of my life. Because I was raised into white supremacy. Like our systems, and having to acknowledge that, like, that is a freeing thing in itself, is being like realizing that everyone has degrees of prejudice. And it's okay to be working on it as long as you're working on it.
And I think working on it really is the key as far as making any kind of change. I heard somebody say one time that, if all the people that were against guns joined the NRA and went to a meeting, then the vote would be clearly different. So being able to commit an act of defiance without joining in the NRA, as an example, is an important thing. Just being able to lend the voice that changes that, a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier to do this change work outside and in the community when I'm doing it in my own life. Because then it's the most natural thing in the world. It's just, I'm just existing in the way that I exist. And I haven't been able to be truly embrace activism with my full soul until I could truly love myself and every part of myself. And I've never loved myself more than I do now, which gives me so much more capacity to love everybody else.
Was that a realization that you were aware of, or did it just happen?
It's happened over time. I didn't realize how much internalized homophobia I had until my best friend of 11 years and I confessed our love to each other. And then I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how, I knew that I was queer my whole life, but having that 11 years of friendship to build where neither of us could acknowledge how we were feeling, and then suddenly we did. It was this outpouring of all of this stuff that I had been holding in that I didn't realize I was holding. And I'm so thankful for that experience.
Now, you said your partner, you used the word him, so you're bi.
Yeah, I'm pansexual. I love everybody.
Okay.
But bi, it's under the bi flag.
And so that was my next question. You love everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think that your sexuality has opened your eyes in certain areas?
Oh, definitely. I mean, my own experience with queerness helps me to understand on a deeper level what a lot of people are going through on a range of issues. It just helps to understand the intricacies, and and also practicing polyamory, but practicing this act of truly acknowledging that I can love multiple people. And in the same way, we wouldn't ask parents if they love one child more than the other, because it's a different kind of love, because they're different people and you have different loves for different people. And there's this idea with polyamory that it just means that you want to sleep with a bunch of people. And like, I don't have an interest in that at all. I just want to be able to have an earnest interaction with people that I meet. And there was not space for that in a lot of my monogamous relationships in the past. Like if I would have an extended conversation with someone at a coffee shop, it was considered inappropriate.
Right.
But
yeah.
I fully intend to have extended conversations with people that I spontaneously meet at coffee shops. That's really what it's about for me. And just being able to cook for people and just give people love and affection and care, because that's what's natural to me. I was being stifled.
That's really interesting. You know, I became aware of my sexuality in the 90s. I mean, I faced it in the 90s. I was aware of it long before that. But the phrase that was really popular back then, because of the viewpoint that if you're bi, then you want to sleep with everybody.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's still here.
I don't want to sleep with anybody. I don't want to sleep with everybody. I don't want to sleep with anybody else, you know.
Yeah.
The phrase was anything that moves. We joked about that. And there was actually a magazine back in the 90s. I think it was out of California. It was called Anything That Moves. It was a bi magazine. And
I love that.
I loved it and thought, you know, that's really defiant. Just in your face stuff. Yeah. Anything that moves, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly. I love it. I mean, it's fun to kind of let people think what they want. I love talking to my family members about polyamory too, because I was nervous at first, and then now that I talk about them more, we have so many untraditional relationships in my family. Like almost every relationship in my family is not really a traditional relationship.
Really?
And so they're like, oh, I relate to that. Like I would have had a lot less marriages actually if that were an option. And divorces and custody battles and legal battles and so many. It was just funny. It's been really great talking to like my 80-year-old aunt about polyamory and having her be like, yeah, actually, like that's really how I view love too. It makes a lot of sense. I don't feel the need to call it a word, but cool that there's a word for it now. Yeah.
So, okay, this is a total change of subject,
cool.
But you were saying something about you love your job. What is your job?
Yeah, so I'm a community organizer.
Oh, really?
Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I think my technical title is organizing manager, but I told them that I'm going to just keep calling myself a community organizer because that's what I am. And I work for an organization that focuses on rural areas of Arizona, and they're all about progressive movements, and they're about a lot of things, but the thing that I love about the job is that I have full creative freedom.
Nice.
And I live in this community, and I love this community, and they trust that I am going to move forward with intention with any project that I do, and that I don't want a project that requires me for it to exist. Like I want to build sustainable systems that I can leave. And yeah, I love using this description of community organizing. I think of community organizers as mycelium. So mycelium is like the little neural network of mushroom roots under the soil. And they connect and they share information, they share nutrients with different plants, they can warn different plants of things that are going on, and community organizers do the same thing. We're not the big redwood out there doing things. We're connecting. We're connectors. We send resources over here, we send information over here, we connect this blackberry bush to this tree so they can have a symbiotic relationship, right, and build an ecosystem that works. And I think that's what community organizing is.
And what's the name of your organization?
Yeah, it's called Rural Arizona Action.
Rural Arizona Action?
Yeah.
I know it by a different name.
Oh, we're two nonprofits. There's the 501c3, which is the educational side, and that's Rural Arizona Engagement. And then there's the advocacy, like planning protests, political side, which is Rural Arizona Action.
And so obviously you're in rural Arizona.
I'm in both. Technically, I'm in both. Like in Rural Arizona Engagement, we do resources. Like I'm putting on a resource fair in May to connect people to all of the different resources that there are available in Flagstaff. Because when I was here harvesting dandelions from my backyard for food, I didn't know that there were food banks, and I didn't know that I could have access to these different financial resources and medical resources and stuff. And so I'm really passionate about connecting people to them and also making sure that the people who have these resources know about each other, so that if someone comes to them and they're not quite the right person to handle a situation,
they know who to send them
they
to.
can be like, hey, go talk to Talim, go talk to whoever is here. And that's a really important thing for me about building these sustainable networks, right? Because if I leave, everybody knows each other, it's fine, they're good.
Cool. Well, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to pass along?
Oh man, words of wisdom. I don't know.
Or a phrase that you like, a sentence that you like?
A sentence that I like. Okay, yeah. I think that my favorite sentence right now is a lyric from a song called Breathe by Synth Balasai. And it's called, the lyric is, nothing can be loved into something.
Wow, nothing can be loved into something.
Yeah.
That's really profound.
It's my guiding principle right now.
I like it.
Yeah. So I think I built myself, after some really traumatic experiences, I died a lot of deaths. And I had to bring myself back to life, and stitch by stitch, filament by filament, atom by atom, and I felt like nothing at certain points in my life, but that nothing can be loved into something, and all it took was love, and community provided that.
Cool. That's great. Well, thank you for sitting down and talking with us. I really love the idea that you're committed to action and that you love where you live. You love all the people around you. That's a really important thing. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.